You know, I love my cold fronts, and we're getting a good one at the perfect time. You know, most of my mature bucks, I talk about them being shot in the morning on cold fronts, but a lot of those are shot the end of October, and I'm talking 27th, 28th through the 30th, 31st, even 1st of November on the heels of a cold front. And this one that's coming across here soon, we're filming this on October 24th, and I'm looking ahead to October 28th, 29th, 30th, right around there, and then all the way into next weekend as that system slides to the east. So what it ends up happening is you can look at, like, over our area, the Minnesota, Wisconsin area, there'll be a dip in the jet stream like this. So that airflow is going like this, the colder Canadian air comes in, and it just, everything's here. But then you go over to an area like this, let's say Southern Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, Tennessee, they're not experiencing that yet. So as this system slides over and it becomes deeper going down in Kentucky and West Virginia, we warm up a little bit, but then they cool down, and it cools down deeper into the south as it goes down over to the east, and that's what you can expect. And so we're seeing cold front drop Tuesday to Thursday. And what I'm seeing right now, what's in the forecast for our area, is Tuesday to Wednesday, it drops 20 degrees. Partly because Monday is a high of 65, and then Tuesday is a forecasted high of 76. So it jumps up for a day. It's sunny. It's on the beginning of a front that's going to come through. It's going to be breezy on Tuesday, dry. There's actually fire warnings because it's so dry out, and there's going to be excessive heat for this time of year. And it's setting up the temperature drop. And that's what's kind of nice. It's kind of like the warmer it is, the drier it is, the more pronounced and effective that temperature drop is when it actually comes in. So we're looking at that for our area at that time, but the timing is just incredible. And we're going to see it again, the northern earlier, then it moves to the east and the northwest. And what I'm seeing is, I even looked up, for example, you look at Dylan. What's the dates of that Tuesday? What's the date? Is that 29th?
Just a minute. The 29th is Tuesday.
So 29th to our 31st is our drop around here. Now sometimes that cold front, it doesn't seem to ever come earlier. It comes later, if anything. So maybe it's a half day. Maybe that shifts to Wednesday, Friday. But right now it's Tuesday's a high dry day. Wednesday is actually a chance of rain, which I don't believe. And then Thursday, it would be down in the mid 50s. Completely different. I looked up Shelbyville, Kentucky, for example. I looked up going over to the east, Harrisburg, Pittsburgh, getting into West Virginia, And what I'm seeing is that temperature drop more from like Saturday to Monday, even Sunday to Monday or Tuesday. And what's really cool about that, and I put on here, it coincides with the rut timing. What I mean by that is our rut is earlier, 5 to 7 days, than say a Kentucky, West Virginia, Southern Pennsylvania, over into New Jersey, Virginia. So when you see this temperature drop, you know, we're going Tuesday to Thursday, and what I'm seeing for some of these areas is more of a Saturday to Monday or Sunday to Tuesday type thing. And it might only be that it's dropping 11 degrees or 12 degrees. That's all you need to see. It just needs to be that little bit of drop. Usually there's excessive winds like we're getting on Tuesday. It's almost like the bigger the drop, the more volatile the weather on the front side. But at the same time, we're looking at, like, man, when it's the 29th through 31st and we're getting a temp drop, bucks are going to die. That's when a lot of our oldest bucks die. That's when the neighborhood bucks die. That's when people are being very successful. Just check out social media the last couple days of October. Look for those upper Midwest states. There's going to be a lot of bucks showing up on Instagram Reels and people showing those pictures and photos. It's going to happen. It's easy to predict. Doesn't matter what you think about the rut when it comes in. I saw someone say today, the red moon is happening today, the October 24th, so there's going to be big bucks on their feet all day long. Well, we have 60 cell cameras in 2 states. We have a lot of mature bucks. You know how many have moved past 9 o'clock today? 0. Dylan, what about you?
0.
So all that moon stuff is whatever. Whatever you believe, the point is, if it was a cold day all day today, they're still not going to be moving today because it's a pre-rut. When you get into next week, though, that's when I start sitting instead of, we got out of the stand at, my goal was 10:19 because at 10:18 last year, there was a big one at this time of year. And I remember thinking, well, I might be out of my stand. So we stayed till 10:19 today. We actually extended it, but we didn't see anything at that time. Bottom line is though, when it starts getting into that end of the October around here, that Halloween time, boy, upper Midwest, you got to be on stand. And that doesn't mean they're going to be moving all day. It's not peak rut, but it's right at that beginning. And so I like sitting instead of till 10 or 10:30, I might sit till noon or 1. I might get out for a couple hours and go sit in an afternoon stand. I expect a lot more movement, 3 times more movement in the morning than afternoon. And that's how I play it. So in the middle of the day, they got to take a break sometime. Even during the peak of the rut, they're not moving 24/7. They die. They lose a lot of weight, but they got to take rests. And a lot of times that's during the heat of the day. So timing wise, it works really well because then that puts, you know, our October 28th, 29th, 30th is a, you know, northern Kentucky area, more like the 2nd of November, 3rd of November, 5 days behind, 7 days behind, whatever it is. And then over on the East Coast, south, maybe Virginia, you're looking at a week after this. And so the point is that our pre-rut on the 24th, the 25th, 26th, 27th, and then turning into almost peak rut when we shoot a lot of our bucks, 5 days after, 7 days after for your area, and that's about the same as we're looking at. So we're getting into really good pre-rut time with that temperature drop and almost getting into peak rut by the time you get into November 2nd, 3rd in some of those areas. Where to sit. Even pre-rut today, we went out in the morning. This is my first morning sit. I sat 11 times in Kentucky, shot my target buck. I sat 7 times in Minnesota. I've been playing cat and mouse with especially LL beams, a little bit of Ocho and a little bit of Junior. I've sat for each one of those 3 bucks or 3 target bucks, but LL Beams is 6.5-year-old. He's my number 1. Ocho is Jen's number 1. If Ocho comes by, I'll shoot it and then I'll feel pretty bad and guilty because Jen really wants to shoot Ocho. So I've been kind of slanting over towards other areas. So I don't happen to see him. Jen's hunting him tonight. I'm hunting LL Beams. But bottom line is we're sitting in a water hole tonight, both of us. It's dry, it's hot. It's a great time to sit it. On the way to green food sources. So they're sitting eating acorns today, all day. The first thing they want to do is go hit green. They want to hit water on the way to green. So it's a perfect combination. But we sat that morning stand. We sat that morning stand right next to a bedding hollow. So we're on the edge of that bedding hollow. When bucks are active and they're on the move, they pop out of the bedding hollow, come to a water hole, make a mock scrape. They do a little loop and they go back. They might barely leave their 6 acres. 5 acres they call home. But they're moving a lot more than they are a week ago. And so that puts them in front of our stands, and that's why we go take a chance on mornings this time of year. It's right that first morning sit. Like I said, that was 18 sits for me. And this is my 19th. And it was the first time sitting on a morning stand. However, when you look at this cold front that's coming through end of October for us, some of you, the first few days of November, I'm really placing a priority on mornings. Even if I had to choose one sit, I'd choose the morning sit over the evening during these because those bucks are going to move 3 times longer. I like sneaking in under the cover of darkness, away from food plots, getting into that backside of bedding, blowing my scent off the hillsides around here. If you have flat land, you're blowing into a horse pasture, a swamp, somewhere the bucks can't be, and sit back and enjoy the show. This is a great time. Focus on those morning stands. Focus on those prime evening stands. But look at this. They might only move the last hour, hour and a half, 2 hours of the daylight at that time. They might be moving 5 hours in the morning, and they're going to take a break during the middle of the day. Next week for us, this is not the time for all-day sits. People say, hey, you know, the red moon, they're moving all day. No, they're not. And it's not even that time yet. We're still about 10 days off. I might sit all day November 5th, 6th, November 4th, 3rd. But even then, I'm switching to an afternoon stand. I might sit all the way till 1. I'm making a beeline towards another stand that relates to a food source movement, and then I'm sitting there till dark. So rarely do I sit in one stand. We have a few. I always say about 15% of our stands are good for all day because it's that perfect X of movement. But again, that's not right now. So take advantage of this cold front. Let me explain really quick how this works. You know, I have an algorithm I wrote for Outdoor Life 2015. We infused that algorithm into HuntCast for HuntWise. So you can just go buy it and then you can look at the days that are green and go hunt then. But that's an easy way to do it. A lot of people like to figure it out themselves. You get a 25% discount if you check the link in the description for that right now. But I'm going to tell you how it works. temperature's dropping. The bigger the drop, the more volatile the weather. Deer feed 5 times in a 24-hour period. They don't like moving when there's high winds, a lot of noise, commotion of thunder, lightning, blizzard, snow, big winds. Takes away all their senses, and they don't move as much. Not to say they never move, but you're just playing poker in the deer woods, and the odds are really on your favor if you don't move during volatile weather and you move on the backside when it gets not calm, but cooler. I always like a little bit of wind. So imagine they miss 3 or 4 feedings because they're not going out into the big open areas, big open acorn flats, because they don't want to leave the safety and security of their bedding areas. Just like you or I, if we're lost in the wilderness, we can't wait to hit the food as soon as we're rescued. But do we do it again the next day? Well, maybe a little bit. Do we do it again the second day? No, we don't. Thanksgiving. Do you eat the same Thanksgiving meal on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday? No, if you're traveling to relatives, maybe you're forced to. But bottom line is, deer don't, we don't. And so when that weather comes through and slams through, it creates a perfect storm, especially when it's this time of year, end of October, early November, for big bucks to be on their feet, not only because they're looking for does, but because they're hungry. And when you put those two together, and you put calm, comfortable, cold cruising conditions, man, it's a triple threat. They just lost energy reserves, they need to replace it. It's calm and cold and cool. Big winds have subsided, heavy weather subsided. They can't wait to move. It's comfortable for them, just like it would be for you or I. But you can't expect that to happen the second, third, fourth day. And that's why I say after the third day, there's no appreciable gain. So make sure you take advantage of this. It's the #1 time for me because we can take advantage of those pre-rut bucks that are still holding on the lands that we scout. Maybe you're not seeing any pre-rut activity. And it's probably because you don't have a mature buck in your area. So you need to wait till the peak rut. You know, around here, the 5th of November, the 10th of November. But bottom line, this is a chance to get in on those pre-rut bucks you have patterned. And that weather is going to put them in front of your stand, so you can't miss out. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. You're our best followers. You followed all the way to the end of the video. Really invite you to check out our website. We have our Earthway spreaders for sale. Great Christmas presents. We're booking clients right now, all 5 of us. So by the end of December, it seems early, but by the end of December, our schedule will be booked for 2025. It's hard to believe. I'm already booked for December and most of January, February. We have our web classes, the Rut web class, how to design your whitetail property, and really important, hunting hills and thermals, understanding the wind. Those are great products on our site, all the books. Thank you so much for watching all the videos, buying the seed that you did this year. Really appreciate you.